Good morning. It is me, Pearl, from Pearl and the Prayers, and this is Tuned in Tarot. We are here to take a look at the balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine energies inside of ourselves, understanding that whatever state we find this energy in, we can expect to see reflected back to us in our interactions with others, in our outside world. And then realizing that the fans are on very high. I'm going to turn them down so they're a little quieter. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm back. And now you can probably hear me better. I wish I had air conditioning. Dot, dot, dot. Okay, so we're looking at the balance, but today we're focused specifically on releasing and rebuilding. On Wednesdays, we looked at the obstacles that needed removing. We actually checked in yesterday to see what the energy was like, spontaneously on my part. And now we're going to continue this process of releasing, rebuilding. This is actually coinciding with the full moon. So we have that energy, that full moon energy there that will kind of help us in this process. So welcome. Thank you. Good morning. Thanks for joining. All right, let's see. So we're starting with the Empress spread, and we're looking at the releasing, and we're looking at the general energy. And when we do this style, we do head and heart at the same time. And spoiler, the headspace of both the divine masculine and divine feminine is this lover's energy, is in the headspace. So they're focused on the same things. They seek the same things. Always. Always they do. So for divine feminine's head and heart, we have the lovers in the headspace and the King of Pentacles in the heart space. So the general energy surrounding divine feminine's release is a specific iteration of a divine masculine energy, because usually when we're looking at the King of Pentacles, we're looking at somebody who's here like in our current reality. And this energy is, it's very abundant. There's a protective energy here. The throne here is the foundation for the Emperor's energy. It's a full maturation and a development in the material. And then this lover's energy that divine feminine has. So she's thinking, I mean, her obstacle that she was needing to remove was her reluctance to move away from a past energetic connection. So there are those of us in the collective who have either done this, they finally really just cut themselves off with someone and walked away, or walked away from an energy inside of themselves, which was preventing them from being able to come into this lover's energy. So if there was something inside of themselves that was blocking them from receiving from a specific iteration, or just being afraid of the past with a specific iteration, there has been this work to remove that obstacle. There has been a willingness on the part of the feminine energy to take the advice of spirit, which was to move away from any sort of interactions that weren't in alignment with the true desires that divine feminine has. So she's still really seeking this union, this physical union. It's on her mind. It's the general energy that's surrounding why she needs to release, and what she needs to release. So we're right back in it there, divine feminine, with having a specific person in mind, wanting to be in union. The hidden assistance that will help you in your release, not surprisingly, in the headspace, we have the Ace of Cups upright. And in the heart space, we have the King of Wands in reverse. So the Ace of Cups is about having your cup filled by the divine and really, really, really really and truly seeking sacred union inside of self, not through a specific iteration, but consistently coming back to this cup being filled with self love. And we do that by listening to our ego's desires and then releasing the ego's control. So the ego's like, ooh, I want that. And there's some spark in there that is meant for you. It's like the calling. And that's the ego's job. The ego's job is to distinguish you in in consciousness as a specific entity, right? Instead of just the general oneness that we always are when we are not focusing in through one ego perspective, right? We have to have that feeling of something in the 3D calling to us, and that's the ego's job. But once that happens, then its job is over. And then you have to set the ego aside and let the divine fill your cup from that point and not rely on the ego's whispering about, how you could like potentially not have something work out or however you want to look at it. So what will help divine feminine is for her to really release that control of the ego. And if there is a specific iteration of the divine masculine, it would behoove her to relinquish this specific iteration taking action toward her at this time, not being attached to any specific action being taken towards her, and herself not taking any action towards this masculine energy, but releasing this need to control that the ego's desires have and focusing on your own cup. This is your hidden assistance. The thing is, you know that. So for me to tell you that is probably annoying. What past experience do I need to release? Wow. We have in the headspace the Four of Pentacles upright, and look at how grasping she is now. I sometimes use this deck for divine masculine headspace, but I was called to do it for divine feminine headspace today. This is the Ethereal Visions Tarot, and we're working with the Crow Tarot in the heart space today. And I think it's really interesting because there's many images of the Four of Pentacles, and not all of them have a feminine energy. And look how this feminine energy is clinging. She's clinging so much to this material foundation that she's seeking in this manifestation, that specific King of Pentacles. And then we have this impatience. We have Seven of Pentacles in reverse. So the needs to release is this not having faith that have been planted will be able to be harvested, will bloom, blossom, grow into something that can be harvested. And that the fruits that she's seeking, it's like she planted seeds in a field and she thought to herself, this is gonna, all this section here, this is pumpkins, and over here in this section we've got green beans and whatever the hell. Oh, fucking garden. Anyway, the bitch plants her seeds, and then she goes back and looks at the seed packets and she's like, wait a minute, which seeds did I put in this bed? I think it's going to be this, but I actually don't know. Maybe I switched them. And I don't know now, like what fruit or vegetable is going to come up from the earth now. Like what's going to happen? So divine feminine's uncertainty about what fruits are going to be available for her to harvest cause her to cling to the things that are in her present moment that she knows for sure. The devil is always more comfortable than the one that you don't, right? So she clings to this devil energy that we saw come up yesterday, this obsessive fixation. And it's coming from an impatience, and impatience comes from insecurity. The next thing position is, what can I do right now to soothe myself? So, what can Divine Feminine do to soothe herself? This energy of when she's impatient or when she's not sure what's going to happen, that she becomes very, very clingy. We are getting the Four of Wands in reverse, and we are getting the Moon in reverse. So for the heart space. So my strong feeling is that there is a need to go in and look at the subconscious beliefs that are causing these fears about Divine Feminine's ability to have a sacred union, right? Her general energy is, I want a sacred union. I want it with a specific person, right? So to soothe herself at this time, she needs to really go in and reveal those places in her subconscious where she's still limiting herself in regards to the potential for this celebration. I think I think maybe this will just help as well. When we've got the Moon and we've got the Four of Wands in reverse, the thing that I am thinking of is this delay is about hidden information that is gradually going to be coming to light. So you can relax because you're going to start to see this Four of Wands shift into its upright position. It's here, but it's delayed. The reasons for the delay are going to be revealed, and that's really going to soothe you. And the thing is, you're like, oh, I'm going to learn, like my DM or whatever is going to tell me like why. And it's like, yeah, sure. But what's really going to happen is what I said before. You're going to make an effort. Just question yourself. What part of me would believe that I wasn't capable of receiving an offer that would result in a Four of Wands? Just be curious. Is there some memory you have that surfaces when you start thinking about that? And just explore that memory. And revealing that information to yourself and shining a light is what helps open you up to the external revealing of information. So that will soothe you. What can I expect to encounter as I make space for new energy? Okay, this is wonderful. We are getting the Three of Pentacles, which is about teamwork and collaboration. It's also for me really about 3D. So if we're leaving the dream space, if we're this is another thing I should say too. What will soothe you right now, this is the biggest message of all, and I missed it until I looked down. What will soothe you is releasing your fantasies regarding how, when, what this constitutes. There's a difference between writing down your vision and living in a fantasy. And your tendency to cling to this current state of reality, which is unpleasant and uncomfortable for you, comes from the comfort you have with living in a fantasy of what this is all going to be like. So as you release this fantasy and embrace what's coming, which is reality, which is 3D, right? A lot different, you know, bad and good. It's not like it's like worse or horrible, but your fantasy is just that. It's just a fantasy. That came up a lot yesterday. So you're looking at coming into reality, which is nice. You're also looking at partnerships and teamwork and collaboration. And as you make space for new energy, you make space for new energy. Now, all of those things that you were fantasizing about are different options and choices that you have. So you're going to have a lot of choices, a lot of opportunities. And this could be in the workspace, with new job opportunities or your own business being developing or coming into a partnership, It can be in terms of relationships, about having options in terms of new soulmates who are coming in, or potential partners that you can learn lessons with so that you can progress through these last stages of ego death where you're releasing this need to control the outcome. But you're getting a lot of opportunity. There might be some confusing moments or some feelings of overwhelmment that come up as we make new space. But I feel like you have such a, um, you've done so much work that I don't see so much of the fogginess coming here, because this is about working. I feel that you've worked to receive clarity on how you get to choose, how it's your choice, right? All right. What behaviors have gotten in my way? Stop. Okay. In the headspace, we're getting the Seven of Cups again. But look at this image. This is much different. Here is what you're making space for. Like, you have all these different options, and it's a really kind of calm card. We don't see a distressed individual. Sometimes we see someone in distress, but this crow is just sort of like, I could do this, I could do that, I could do the other thing, I could do that one. Well, that was kind of good. I don't know, maybe this, right? It's got that kind of energy. This is much different. This Seven of Cups, we see this pretty fearsome dragon here. We've got transformation energy with this skull and this mask that's either being put on or taken off. We saw this card yesterday as well. So very interesting to see it again. Excuse me, especially now that I moved the deck over to Divine Feminine. So I think that what we're seeing here, because this card is coming out with the Knight of Swords and the Heart Space. So I think what I'm seeing is, in the past, you've kind of rushed headlong and not really assessed options. And there's like the unmasking is really interesting. It's like really needing this energy of like truth and honesty with the self and clarity and cutting through like the fog. But I think what I'm seeing is like, you felt all of the options that you had were not good, right? You felt like you had a lot of fear. Like, if I'm thinking about this in terms of like, if it was a romantic partners, like let's say you were like, I need to move on from this specific iteration, but I have to go on Tinder, and this is what like dating apps feel like to me, versus this kind of an energy, which is like, oh, I have all these options. I'm not limited. And so you would kind of like put up your defenses and maybe even be sort of reckless. Like, you wouldn't take the time you needed to really gain clarity. Like, you would wear a mask and try to like present a certain image of yourself so that you could try to like manipulate the situation or something. And there's a recklessness here that has not been serving you either. So, what can I do now to avoid these behaviors? What the hell? Okay, so we have the Four of Swords in reverse in the headspace, but we have the Three of Pentacles in the heart space. And literally, this is what you have to look forward to. This work you're doing allows you to be more calm and relaxed and more receptive. And here there is this reliance sort of on the divine, like this feeling of like the divine knows what's best for me. And maybe in this energy, it's more about you thinking you can figure it out yourself and not really being sort of receptive to like the truth, because you're hiding or masking some of the 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 actual, like you were using like your fantasy to mask the reality, right? We saw that yesterday. It was like your fantasy of this future memory of this person who's not really treating you well is keeping you with the person who's not really treating you well, but it's a fantasy that you're living in about that person, and they keep feeding that fantasy. So to avoid this kind of fear-based, foggy confusion, not making decisions, and like this attack mode that you go into, you need to do this work to truly express yourself. You also need to develop your faith and your trust. The Four of Swords is about faith, trust. It can be also about resisting grief when it's in its reverse. So resisting fully grieving. And in this Three of Pentacles, we see this wintry scene, and we see these crows working together, probably to feed themselves in a pretty barren time. And it's something that requires trust that there is going to be abundance there for you. And for me, I'm really seeing this need to work through this grieving process. Um, I think there's anger and resentment and fear about having to now find other options, whether that's other work or another location to live or another person. There's a reluctance to do this because of the fear of what of not having those other options, of not being able to really clearly see them. And there, you need to like really allow yourself, I think, to work through the grief associated with having to release this person that you thought is the best option, when it's really clear that right now that is not true. And not grieving that, not letting that really sit there and be true, and instead just kind of going on the attack, it's not serving you. So you have to do that. Just allow yourself to grieve the fact that this person who made you promises they didn't keep, or this job that seemed like it was the career that you wanted, or whatever it is. Just allow yourself to feel the grief of feeling like you were wrong, or whatever comes up for you. Just process it and feel it, because that distorted Seven of Cups energy is really just about being afraid to let those feelings come up, that will help you clear out the fears associated with what it is you're trying to call in. What is growing within me, or within this connection, as I move on? So you've got a couple extra cards. Oh, my God. We got the Seven of Pentacles. I'm using 2 decks here, and we have 3 duplicate cards. So out of 6 positions, 6 of the cards are duplicated. Do you know what that means? That means that you are in union inside of yourself. Your head and your heart are in agreement. You have an awareness, and you're tuned into your heart space, and that's incredible. So, Divine Feminine, what's growing within you is the patience that you need to be able to fully receive your abundance, because your impatience makes you move too swiftly towards decisions that are not serving you, right? They hurtle you into that Eight of Cups energy, where you end up having to walk away because there's poison in the cups. So if you can move on, this is giving you this beautiful gift of this patience that you need, and also this nurturing, loving care for what it is that you've been wanting to manifest here. Your heart space is bringing you this 3 of Wands energy in reverse, which is like, now it's time. Now it's time to gather this harvest that you have been patiently awaiting. And you're getting the World, which is the completion of a cycle. And there's a crowning here because it's like you're fully coming into your Empress energy. So this is what is growing within you now. A growing patience that will result in the ability to arrive at the place where all of the pieces have fallen together so that this completion can take place and you can experience this with a King of Pentacles, who, of course, is a reflection of your own inner maturation. So that's really lovely, Divine Feminine. Grieve today, I would say. Grieve what you are leaving behind. Grieve the time it took to get here. Those are all things I always feel sad about. Like, I wasted so much time. We know we didn't waste time, but that is a feeling we have. And if we push it down and say, oh, no, you didn't waste time, you're ignoring the fact that there's sadness, there's regret for the time you feel you lost. Feel it. Let it happen. Be sad about how long it took for you to see these truths about yourself and how you were, always willing to see how the other parties around you were, not doing it right. But it was harder for you to look at your own cups and what you had put in them. All right. Divine Masculine. We're heading over to the Emperor spread now to rebuild. So Divine Feminine's general energy was the Lovers and the King of Pentacles, right? Someone specific, most likely, or some specific job or career or some specific manifestation that she feels a lot of love for, really wants to have be a part of her life. Divine Masculine is also in this Lover's energy, and we're using the Rachel True Heart Intuitive Tarot and the Tattoo Tarot for the heart space. Here is the 3 of Swords alongside of the Lovers. So, Divine Feminine is working to release a specific iteration of Divine Masculine. Divine Masculine is heartbroken over the situation, and this is the general energy that he's trying to rebuild from. There was probably third-party energy that was involved somehow. And remember, that's not always a person. That can be family, career, addiction. There's all kinds of third-party energy that we have that blocks us from coming into alignment. I feel, though, with this feminine energy in this card, that Divine Masculine is having this general energy is that he has really hurt this Divine Feminine, which is why she's now trying to release him. And so he's trying to rebuild a relationship, a potential physical union, after having taken a good hard look at his own actions and how he was wounding both of them through his behavior. So that's his general energy. His hidden assistance right now is the Tower upright and the 4 of Pentacles, which we already saw because it's just not going to stop today. There's the 4 of Pentacles. Divine Feminine clinging. This is such an interesting, contrasting pair of cards to have to read for what is hidden assistance. One aspect of the tower is that this represents divine intervention. And it's like his hidden assistance is the divine is taking care of it. See, he's trying to hold this tower together while it's burning, and the divine is doing its damnedest to make it hot enough for him to let go and finally let these pieces crumble. This Four of Pentacles imagery from this tattoo tarot, we've got that skull again that we were seeing over here for Divine Feminine in this Seven of Cups energy. Now it's here. And the Four of Pentacles are forming like this staircase. I'm just looking at this very interesting card. There's this fog here. It's interesting. There's fire. It's almost like the tower is there inside of this card. So his hidden assistance is that the divine is helping to crumble all of this past energy that we have been looking at Divine Masculine trying to get rid of. Divine Masculine was trying to do it himself. That was that manipulative energy. And him maybe working through his obstacles, like from the obstacles remove spread, has really put him into this place now where the divine can finally come in and crumble everything around him that he's been trying to get rid of. So his hidden assistance is literally the divine helping him with this release. It's like, okay, you've done the work. Now I will take over. Just let me take over. Let go while I do this cleanup for you, which is a pretty nice arrangement, I think. It's not a bad arrangement. Okay. What can I do? What past experience challenges me in this rebuilding process? All right. I am not surprised. We are getting the Queen of Pentacles in the headspace, which we saw the King over here. Can you believe? Can you believe this union? Because there's the divine counterparts. So Queen of Pentacles and the Page of Wands. So this past experience is what challenges him in the past. Okay, so what challenges him in his rebuilding process is that when he has approached Divine Feminine in the past, he has come from this Page of Wands energy, which has been very immature. There's like a foxy cleverness here. We see foxes a lot of times in Seven of Swords energy. So there's like this like hiding, secretive, not very transparent, sort of small, ineffective, inefficient gestures towards his Divine Feminine, who is, in his mind, there's a specific iteration of someone that he was trying to move towards. So this past experience of coming to her and having been in this really kind of an immature place is really challenging him now as he's trying to rebuild, because that sort of energy is what caused this heartbreak between them, right? It's like things were going along rather swimmingly, but then he would make these sort of just really, he would get overexcited, or he would have like burgeoning sexual energy, or he would whatever, and he would just like put a sword in it. And it wasn't the sword he wanted to put in it. Wasn't quite how he wanted it to go, but it would cause these wounds that he had, and he to trigger him to wound the Divine Feminine. What can I do right now to rebuild my confidence? Wow. Okay. So we're getting in the headspace, the Fool in reverse. Stop being a fool. And we're getting the Five of Cups in reverse, which is also profound because the Five of Cups was all over the reading yesterday. Divine Masculine thought he caused the Divine Feminine all of this terrible sadness, and we saw Divine Feminine with the Five of Cups. What what for him was this devastation, depression, this dejected feminine energy, for divine feminine was this disappointment that she was willing to leave behind her as she looked towards her future. It was kind of mild. It wasn't like intense. Divine masculine was thinking like she was feeling like there's all this blood spilled and nothing can ever be healed again. And so what would soothe him and build his confidence right now is to be optimistic, first of all, just in general, just to develop a positive mindset, and to be optimistic about divine feminine and her willingness to take this leap forward with him. And this this understanding that the divine feminine will be cautious as he approaches her. There is going to be a certain amount of caution there because, you know, she's got to go by her past experiences. She has to do her best to stay optimistic, but she's also basing her experiences on this energy, which she received from him, which was like not cute, okay? Not cute. So there is that caution there for divine feminine. And if knowing this information will be helpful, knowing this information will be helpful for divine masculine to build his confidence, that she's not pessimistic. She is optimistic. She's just cautious. She's just being careful. She's finally not being so reckless, moving so fast towards her fantasies, which were quite fearful. So the other thing that will help divine masculine is also being cautious. Yes, it's time to take the leap, and he needs to take the leap forward. But he needs to look before he leaps and just make sure that it's not going to result in any more of this kind of stuff. And he's just got to be a little bit more mindful about divine feminine's experience, have a little bit more empathy. And that will help him feel more confident as he approaches her. What possible future challenges could arise? Why am I not surprised? We have the Eight of Cups in reverse in the headspace and the Ace of Swords in reverse in the heart space. So, divine masculines could still have trouble walking away from those cups that have the poison in them. He could still have fears about truly following his higher calling. And he could still have trouble really being very honest with himself about what he's walking away from and where he is going on his path forward. So it could still be pretty challenging for him to be completely honest with himself. He also could have fears about divine feminine walking away that could challenge him. So that actually is very, very, very prominent to me also. He could be very concerned about her potential to walk away from him. And so not being able to see a different future, which is why he has that pessimism a lot in his headspace, but not being able to see this new future, or not looking with clarity at how walking away from the past really does make him new and gives him these new options. That can be a little bit challenging as he goes forward. What past behaviors have destabilized me? I am fucking shocked. So, divine feminine, what can I do right now to soothe myself? Was the moon in reverse and the Four of Wands in reverse, right? What past behaviors have destabilized divine masculine. The moon in reverse. And the Four of Wands upright. So, shit. So the same thing, divine feminine's fantasies about not being able to have union, her releasing these limiting beliefs about that from her subconscious, and the past behaviors destabilizing divine masculine is hiding or keeping secret his desire to have that sacred union with divine feminine, or in some cases, actually hiding a relationship, another marriage or a sacred union or whatever for some in the collective, not all, but some. For me, it's much more about him hiding this intention that he clearly has to come into the sacred union. And divine feminine, what will soothe her is releasing limiting beliefs about that sacred union. So, what her divine masculine has done in the past, releasing her fears about his commitment issues or hers or however. That's staggering to me. The amount of union in this spread is nuts. What can I do now to avoid this and stabilize? What is happening? Oh my God. Okay, we've got the Four of Swords in reverse in the headspace, which we saw when we asked for divine feminine. We said, what can she do now to avoid her past behavior? It was the Four of Swords in reverse in her headspace too. And then she had to do this work, this Eight of Pentacles. I'm sorry, Three of Pentacles for her. For divine masculine, it is the Eight of Pentacles. And look at who's doing the work. Divine feminine. I can't make this up. It's insane. So what divine masculine can do right now to avoid this destabilizing behavior where he's deep in the shadow of his limiting beliefs about his ability to be able to have this Four of Wands as well. So he hides his true intentions, or he doesn't make any gestures about it, or the ones he makes are ineffective, however that plays out. What he can do right now is express to the divine feminine, because this is about keeping silence. Divine feminine needs to express herself through that grieving that she has, through that loss. She also needs to break her silence about the work that she's doing. Divine masculine needs to do the same. He needs to break the silence. Now, what's interesting is we're seeing the divine feminine doing this work and creating something. It's almost like he needs to tell others about divine feminine's work. It's like if he brings her into the light, if he illuminates and shines light on her and this celebration and brings her work to light, this will really help to stabilize the both of them. So the work that he's done in his own feminine energy to prepare himself for Four of Wands energy, for sacred union, to reveal and express that he has done this, to show the divine feminine in himself, like to so she has this equal place, this equal career alongside of him, inside of himself. Like, this will really help stabilize him. He also got extra cards today for what future prospects do I have to look forward to once I rebuild and stabilize. Okay. In the headspace, we got the Eight of Wands, the Two of Swords in reverse, the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, and Judgment in reverse. So, Divine Masculine, if you stabilize, if you rebuild and stabilize, you allow that divine intervention to happen, which is causing these tower moments, which is causing these crumbling around you, which is probably part of this heartbreak. But if you allow this to happen, you are going to be able to finally make a decision to send out these messages, to send this information about your reasons for withholding this offer that you have had, that you have really wanted to extend, but you have been withholding it. But to send this information that will reveal the reason for the standstill and your desire to end the standstill with the divine feminine and stop withholding this pentacle from her and face this judgment, which you have to release about yourself. This is reconciliation, this harsh criticism here. You will finally see that divine feminine will be fully forgiving. She will not stand in judgment over you. She will not view you as a devil energy. Once you reveal to her the reasons, the real reasons, instead of secrets and lies and silence, but the actual truth, she will not sit in judgment over you. There will be reconciliation and the potential for rebirth there. If you can release these fears you have about this happening. And what challenges you is your fear that she's going to walk away when she sees that truth, because you would. But this is divine feminine in unconditional love. She's not going to walk away from you. All right. Let's look at the oracles and see how we can help the two of you release and rebuild. Divine feminine, you are in the light attributes of the Avenger energy. This is a desire to balance the scales of justice and righteousness on behalf of society or oneself. So you are, there's also this map here on this cape. So there's like travel. And there's another mask that's being worn here. But you have this genuine desire to balance these scales. And there's a awareness here that you played a role in the imbalance. It's not just like it came from divine masculine and you weren't like part of it. You want to avenge the both of you for having to have been in this imbalance because of the way that we were taught. So you do feel this kind of like righteousness to have this union, because part of this union and alignment is going to be this platform that allows you to speak out about the reasons that we end up denying ourselves for so long. You're being a little miserly. You're in the shadow traits of the miser. So there's a hoarding money and emotions or obsessive fear of losing your wealth. So you are afraid of losing this wealth. You really do have a fear of that. You don't want to lose what you feel you've gained with this individual who you have this connection with. Because of that, you're hoarding a bit your emotions. You're also suppressing those emotions you're not fully grieving that the person that you love, even if you want to stay with this person. Okay, look at it this way. Let's say no matter what I'm telling you or no matter what Spirit's telling you, that you're not willing to relinquish this person at this time. You're not willing to let go. First of all, the divine masculine energy showed you the divine is about to intervene. So that's happening, whether you like it or not. But let's say you just really are unwilling to relinquish that person and you can't imagine yourself doing that. Okay, that's fine. What you can imagine yourself doing, I'm sure, is relinquishing the interactions that exist between the two of you that do not serve you. So if my best example is my own example, is that when I was messaging my divine masculine, he would not respond directly to me. He would respond indirectly to me for whatever reasons. I have no idea. because of the moon and because of silence. I have no clue why, but for some reason, when I would respond, when I would write directly, I would get a response, but it would be in an indirect way, which always made me feel like I was reading into everything, which I technically could have been doing. And then I would misinterpret things and it would cause trauma. And then there would be like the back and forth stuff that was going on. It's really unpleasant, really uncomfortable. And then I realized that the only reason that that kept happening is because of my resentment that I had when I would write directly and he would write indirectly. And how can I soothe myself from that resentment? Easy. Stop doing that. So I did. I unsent all the messages and I stopped engaging that way. If he's going to engage indirectly, I will too. So I didn't release my desire for this specific iteration as of yet. I have not achieved that yet. It's interesting that that fell out of my hand and then went into the release position. Duly noted, universe. What I am releasing though is my distorted energy, my ineffective, immature communication. And the other thing here that we didn't even talk about for this divine masculine, what challenges him from the past? Divine feminine's immature communication, right? Exactly what I just described. So it's also about releasing those kind of things. If you can't really get on that level where you're ready to release a person, it's okay. There's no shame in that. It's not time then. It's not time for you to release them. But it is time for you to release your behaviors and the things you do, because let's be real. When this specific iteration makes you feel some type of way, what do? You're like, okay, well, I'm hoarding my emotions. I literally unsent all of my messages and all of the pictures for 2 years of interactions. That's some divine feminine shit right there. That was me being like, unsent, 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 right? Page of Wands stuff. Passionate, angry, frustrated, hurt, wounded, and lashing out. Now, was it justified? Honestly, I think so. My intention was to reflect back what I was receiving. It was imbalanced. Looking at those exchanges made me embarrassed of myself, humiliated. Trying to explain to anybody those interactions is humiliating. Like, I say this to him and then he does this and people are like, okay. Wow. Right? So I did the right thing, but I did it from that place of immaturity, right? I hoarded my feelings and emotions. I took them back. That's a miserly thing. So be aware of that, divine feminine. Be aware of that tendency. Think about what it feels like to receive that. Oh, I did think about it. I have a telepathic connection with my divine masculine. So later that day, I felt what that felt like, and it was not good. It did not feel good for him. I know that. And it did feel good for me. So it was one of those things where I sacrificed his feelings so that I could feel good. I needed to feel good. I needed to feel better. I felt no control. I felt out of control. He controlled everything. I controlled nothing. This was the only thing I could control. So I can see why it happened and what the reasons were. I can see the positive things about it. And I can see the negative things about it. But I can acknowledge that I was in my miserly energy, not in the energy of generosity and benevolence. And that's okay. I'm allowed to get pissed. Everybody's allowed. Here's your higher education. Here's your diploma. You are really learning these lessons. You are really learning them. And you are coming into a time where you're not going to have to keep repeating these cycles, right? We saw the world. We saw this completion here. It was the final card of your spread, just as it is the final card of the major arcana. And that is a poignant message. You are graduating. You have learned your lesson. We're getting the talent card in reverse. um, there's an emphasis here on your talent, the talent you have for doing all of the things that you do in your life, for loving people, for making things, for showing up, for, you know, figuring out the end of a movie before everyone else does. Like you've got all these talents, right? All these skills. There might be some of us that need to hone in a little more, or honor our talents a little more. But I feel like for others, it's really this reminder that um, talent is one aspect of of our how do I want to say that? You have to have talent to be successful, but it's only one component of that success. If we borrow from RuPaul, we've got charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. Those are the things that distinguish us and push us to our highest level. I think there's sometimes like this idea that like it doesn't matter if you're talented. It really does matter if you're talented. But your uniqueness is what really dictates how that talent is expressed. And I think there's just I feel like there's some need for you to acknowledge your talent, acknowledge what it is you do, and believe that these things that you can do are really going to generate the abundance that you desire, and that they are your calling pulling you towards your higher your higher calling pulling you towards that mission that you're here to do upon the planet. Hey, your dreams need a practical plan. We could look at this soothing self positioning, and we could also say that this fantasy needs to be about, so no longer fantasizing about building a stable foundation for your family, home, etc., but actually making it practical. For instance, I really want to move out of this apartment. It's a fantasy. I talked about it yesterday. A fantasy that is terrifying. And so I run away. Look at me running away from this terrifying thinking about all of these things that I want and can't have and are intimidating and terrifying. And there I am. Bye. I'm swiftly leaving any of this any of these fears behind, and also not dealing with reality. So, divine feminine, it's time to take your dream and give it a practical plan and not allow your fears to keep you from doing that because you think you won't be able to do it or have it or whatever. Believe, and also that's a full moon card as well, timing wise. It's like right now, if you're looking for a home because it's full moon in Taurus and there's that home energy, right now this dream that you have to move to this new home, it needs a practical plan. It's very, very relevant to me. My son wants to go back to his school on the East Coast because he likes his school there, and I have to finish my record here, and I need to decide like how to navigate that because he's got a couple years left and he wants to go to a specific school. So I'm like intimidated by trying to make that work, but I need to think about it, and I need to try to come up with a practical plan, whether that's subletting half my apartment here and, you know, going and staying in a studio that's close to my son's school just so I can see him. I don't know, because I have to figure out how to navigate that. Good morning, Ash. The next card up for Divine Feminine, we got Pleiades yesterday, and now we're getting Lemuria, and these cards always follow each other. I feel like there are these star seed things that are happening from these two. Um, I don't know what they are. What are these? Like, what are star seeds? Like, what's like descended from ancestors, ancient ancestors? I don't know what they are, but creating heaven on earth, it is happening. Divine Feminine, there's a real need for you to understand that that is happening for you. This dream's needing a practical plan thing. It's not like you have to figure it out. I don't have to figure out exactly what's going to happen, but I do need to just sit down and, first of all, probably meditate and receive enlightenment about what is a good idea. That's usually the best thing. And then once I get that idea, that's that dream aspect, I need to be like, okay, well, what are some of the small steps I can make towards that thing? I don't have to make it happen tomorrow. I think the past version of me, this past version of me, who runs in fear from all of the different potential options I have, who feels overwhelmed and just like, yep, I'm out. I can't think about it. Can't think about it. This past version of myself um, would have thought that I had to know right now exactly what's going to happen before the start of my son's semester. I don't. The more the calmer, more mature version of myself now is like, no, you don't. You can fly your son back. He has a house there with his grandparents that he's staying at, and he can stay with them and he can stay with his dad. I don't want him to, but he can, and he doesn't want to, so he's probably gonna stay with his grandparents, but he can go stay with them for the first few weeks of school while you get things sorted out here. That's fine. You can make that happen. You can make that work. My past version would be like, no, I need to know what 2-bedroom house I'm owning. You don't. You just need to like get him into school, and then you can tie up your loose ends here and do what you need to do, right? It's that kind of like dreams need a practical plan. Just focus on the little small steps and understand that the heaven on earth that you're desiring is being created, and there is a solution that's coming for you. Buffalo spirit returns. We saw this buffalo spirit yesterday. We're getting the protection message, so I think I'll read it today. And it is the abundant universe will provide. Divine Feminine, you've got 7 of Cups all over the place, which is really about an abundant universe. And this is a 10, which is a completion. And you got the world completion. So there's a lot coming down this pipeline for you, Divine Feminine, if you can hang in there just a minute. When Buffalo Spirit visits you with a message of protection, he is asking you to shift your thinking from poverty consciousness to one where you trust the universe will provide. Have you been falling into financial insecurity, worrying that there will not be enough money in the future? Have you been stressing and feeling sorry for yourself, worrying that because you have no romantic relationship now, you will never have one? Do you see scarcity where there is in fact abundance? Are you comparing yourself to others and falling short? Self-pity, entitlement, fear, and lack are all thought viruses that seduce you into darkness. Buffalo Spirit nudges you to make a gratitude list and be mindful of your thoughts this time. Even if outer events have happened to challenge your beliefs in abundance, outer conditions are temporary. If you are suffering from the malaise of fear that you are impoverished, realize that it is only poverty of perception and perspective. Excuse me. Prayer, communion with your higher power, and gratitude coupled with compassionate, selfless service will snap you right out of it. Give to someone who has less than you. Be thankful for the tiniest things and say affirmations. Then you will remember abundance is the true nature of the world. All right, Divine Feminine. Divine Masculine, let's help you out. You are trying to rebuild this tower, but your hidden assistance is to let the divine intervene and crumble this for you. And there is a death of something that's going to take place that's not even in your hands. Oh, so interesting. So the music for today, which I do always post on my Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, I will post right before I go live on YouTube, since I don't do a set time when I do these lives. I will post a picture of the cards that I've shuffled, and then I'll put the messages from the songs that came up when we played. Oh, congratulations to our winner, Summer. She won today our playlist challenge. There is another drawing for the same challenge that's going to happen next Friday, which will be the day I am releasing my first debut solo single that I produced myself. I'm very excited. I can't believe it's only a week away. OMG. So there will be another drawing, but Summer won this current drawing, which means she gets a free reading. She can pick any of the services on my site, and a cover song of her choice, fully produced, mixed, and mastered, which is really valuable. So if you want to have a chance to do that, go follow me on Instagram. Make sure you're following Pearl in the Prayers and Tuned In Tarot. And then in the stories, there will be a story that's posting. I'll post it again today. That will have a sticker that says what song embodies the Wheel of Fortune. Send me any song you think reminds you of the themes from that card. I will add it to a playlist. I will shuffle the playlist, and you'll have a chance to win a free reading next Friday. When I did the shuffle today, after I chose the winner, or whatever, the universe chose the winner, I guess, not me, I did go and shuffle my own music. And the two songs that came up today were poignant. We got Beggar for the Blues. And when I saw that card, I immediately thought of how yesterday a certain card came out for Divine Masculine. And lo and behold, it's here again. So, Beggar for the Blues, I'm going to read since this card came out and it's important. The message from that song was, it was a Nat King Cole version, and the lyrics are, yes, wild is love, and wherever it takes me, I must go. When love smiles at me, I just can't refuse. I don't care if I cry till the tears run down my shoes. I ask for it every time because I'm a beggar for the blues. When love pulls me in like an undertow, if I gotta die, that's the way I want to go. Don't care if I win or lose because I'm a beggar for the blues. I'd say goodbye, but then I ask myself, what for? I know that I would only hurry back for more. I know I'm a fool, got no alibis. My heart's been to school, but I never will get wise. I live in the way that I choose because I'm a beggar for the blues. And he just repeats that. And then the other song that played was Bigger Than Me by Big Sean. So, which was also had some pretty poignant moments in it. All I want to do is make the city proud. You're going to realize that this is bigger than me. When the whole family depend on you to eat, man, at night you can't sleep. Bigger than me. You're going to realize that it's bigger than me. A lot of good messages in the songs today. So go check those out. But so poignant that this beggar card came out for Divine Masculine. And he's still in the light traits of this card. So he's still doing a good job of confronting empowerment at the level of physical survival and awakening the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self esteem. I do see him really wanting to bring Divine Feminine out of the cold, bring her some warmth. And with that song, The Beggar for the Blues, wanting Divine Feminine to come out of this feeling that she's begging for his attention. He's really wanting to end that feeling for her. And he's being supported in that energy. Saint Agnes of Rome is here with her message of not compromising. Don't compromise. So, this is kind of similar to that message we had yesterday about making yourself more palatable, not compromising your ideals, not compromising with third party energy that doesn't have your interests at heart, um, not compromising the union with the divine feminine, not doing anything that could compromise your ability to come together. And you're getting transformation again. This card came out in reverse, which is like the death card in reverse, which we saw a bunch yesterday in the reading. So, Divine Masculine, I think you're still resisting transformation. There's maybe just a fear that you can't transform, which is why this divine intervention is your hidden assistance right now, because you're consistently having to be reminded that you can't do anything on your own. You very much want to be able to do everything on your own, but you cannot. This process of transformation, this process of coming into union, it is one that is shared with the divine. It is not something that you do on your own. You feel you're not capable of transformation. You wouldn't be capable of transformation if you were doing it on your own, but you're not. This is something that is happening on your behalf within yourself, and you're just along for that ride. Like, you're transforming whether you like it or not, kind of a thing. It's not you that's doing it. You're just choosing to embrace it or resist it. Have faith in your dreams is emphasized. I'm called to remind you of that moon in reverse. Both of these cards are making me feel strongly that that message of fully revealing and fully illuminating and not being in the shadow of the moon, but letting things come to light. Having faith that your dreams are so powerful and that they are divinely inspired, and that as these things come to light, you will be fulfilled. And no one is going to be able to take that from you. You don't have to protect it so much. You're already doing it. Stop overthinking and keep facing your true north, right? This is your true north. Sacred union, the two sides of self balanced, right? Which allows for this physical manifestation to take place. Face that true north. And then we're getting rabbit spirit. Now is a lucky time, which I'll read because I don't usually get rabbit spirit. This is the 49 card. For me, this is like fertility and abundance. A sunny meadow calls, and rabbit spirit appears to lead you out of your dark warren and into the light so that you can participate in a fertile and beautiful experience. It may seem safe below ground, but the magic happens when you come out and take the risk of being vulnerable and co creating something new. You are being invited into a new life that you have no experience with, but have no fear. Today is also a time to be fruitful and productive as you enjoy Rabbit Spirit's sunny and prolific energy. At this time, whatever you intend to bring to life will find fertile ground. There are no mistakes, really, when you are co creating with Spirit. So let new ideas spring to the surface, knowing that now is a lucky time of tremendous possibility. Girl, it's Leo season. There's so much possibility during Leo season to, be bigger, do things bigger, do things at a larger level, do it up. I just saw 111 on the clock. Okay. Oh, I'm a proud mama. Y'all yesterday were in the shadow attributes of the night, which was romantic delusion. And now you're in the light. So you are releasing those delusions about your fantasies about one another, and you are being more practical, and you are being more willing to ground this in the 3D and come out of that dream space, which is why both of you had the moon card in reverse. Excuse me. This is the light attributes include loyalty, romance, and chivalry, and a love of honor. And you're both ready to step towards each other, high step towards each other. Saint Nicholas is here with this blessing of generosity. There's a generous universe. It's a lucky time. There's abundant universe will provide card. There's a lot of generosity here, and you need to be generous towards one another. Thank you so much for saying you love my reads. I appreciate that. Also, I really like your name. Mo Money is pretty great name. All right, fertility. Fertility card in reverse. So interesting. I was just thinking about this card last night, and I'm pulling it with this one because I was also thinking about this, and I know this is related. For some reason, and I have no idea why, except that now I'm seeing the cards. I maybe was listening to another reading and it just made me remember something. I can't even remember, but for some reason I thought that the divine masculine energy has a fear of his vitality. Like he feels like does not have enough vitality to live up to the divine feminine energy. And remember, that's not the specific iteration. That's the masculine energy in its in self. Like I'm turning 40. And when I had this thought, I was thinking about, if there was issues with being able to have children again for myself or my DM or whatever. So think about fertility issues. And I was thinking, well, I'm 40. I thought that by now I would be in union with my divine masculine, but I'm not. I don't anticipating wanting to have a child very quickly once I come into a union with someone. So it's possible that I might not experience that joy of mothering again. And this one chance that I got is my only chance, which was not something I expected at the time that I was pregnant. So there was grief there in that moment when I thought, oh, but it wasn't like devastating. It was just sort of like, oh, like I'm running out of time kind of a feeling. So I think that there is a general sense for the both of you that you are running out of time for this, in this fertile time. And what's interesting is the universe is really wanting you to know that that's not true. First of all, I said when I saw Rabbit Spirit, oh, this makes me think of fertility and abundance. And then we get the fertility card, which is also the Empress in reverse, which is about giving birth to something as well. So you're in the energy of gestating, or of moving from gestating to actually laboring and delivering something in the physical, which we know is uncomfortable. But for the fertility card to come out in its reverse alongside of this void of course moon that says nothing will come of this situation, this makes me feel that any fears or anxieties about not being able to see a result come from this gestation period, that you've waited and you've waited and you've waited and it's all for nothing, that there isn't a creative and fertile ground here for something to really take root and grow and blossom. That is not a thing. Nothing will come of those fears regarding this process. When the baby is coming, it's so funny because when I went through the process of delivering my son, I thought it was so funny that the doctors were saying to you when to push. I was like, I'm sorry. I don't need your help, because every single cell in my whole entire body was screaming, not in pain, but in just urgency. Push. I didn't need anyone outside of me to tell me when to push. Everything in my body was doing that automatically. And in fact, what was difficult was when they told me not to push because they were worried about the heart rate. They were losing the heart rate or something, but it was really just the sensor that they had put on his scalp was moving. And I knew that intuitively. And they were like, we're going to prep you for cesarean. And I was like, no, I know my baby is fine. And I know that I can give birth to this baby. If you stop telling me to stop pushing, I will get it out. I didn't need outside assistance, right? When you are laboring and delivering, it's just everything inside of you is pushing this into being. So your fear that it's not going to happen, that you have to do something, that these external voices need to tell you what to do. No. Instinctually, as a couple coming into union who has been waiting and gestating, awaiting this moment, everything, all things are conspiring to bring you into this fulfillment of this manifestation. And we're getting Anna, the grandmother of Jesus, which is seeding the light, laying foundations, and divine plan. Interesting that I talked about labor and delivery. And then we're getting a card that represents the Immaculate Conception, which in Catholicism is not actually when the Virgin conceives the divine in her womb. It's actually when the Virgin herself is conceived in the womb of her mother, because this represents the trajectory of a divine plan that is seated in the past and has a direct path into the future that is determined by that higher consciousness. This is a reminder that this experience you're having is part of this divine plan. The reversal on this card reminds me of the reversal on the fertility card because it's literally about conception. So there are fears here about conception in this collective, about potential to conceive. And first of all, that is an energetic state and that can be healed. It can be healed with medical science and it can be healed with holistic practices, beliefs, shifting with the energy. And there are all kinds of ways to conceive, and there's all kinds of things you can conceive. You can conceive of ideas, projects, not just human beings, right? And then the both of you are getting dog spirit. Be loyal to what you love. And I think that this is a beautiful energy because we kept seeing a lot of worry and discomfort about third party energy and about, and sort of when options come up for either one, there's a tendency to be like, oh, they have other options. But if the two of you are loyal to what you love, you will be able to manifest the union that you are seeking. The message here is dog spirit appears to remind you that although change is a part of life and all of us are meant to evolve, our love and commitments remain strong. You are loved now and can trust that this higher love is true. Spirit loves you, and love has arrived in many forms now, manifesting in the people you surround yourself with, expressed uniquely through them. Dog spirit also says, be true to that which you love, for now is a time of good fortune. My single is the 10th track on the record, so I chose the Wheel of Fortune card as the card that is paired with that song. And all this week and next week, I'm posting clips that show the Wheel of Fortune and give a little mini reading, and I'm answering questions that were asked of me about making my record and making this track and relating it back to that card. We also got Lucky Time, which is like the Wheel of Fortune. There's a really there's auspiciousness to this current time. Dog spirit, be steady as you recognize that people and things are always transforming. Your heart is loving and true, and dog spirit wants you to know that your steadfast commitment to experiencing and expressing love will attract and manifest more love. You deserve all of it. Have faith in Spirit's plan for you. Beautiful. All right, let's close out with what we should do today to help us with this releasing and rebuilding process. Please like, subscribe, share, click all the links. Pearlsprayers.com is where you can find all my services on my services page. Don't be intimidated by the pricing structure there. I do offer discount codes for income-based discount codes rather. So just send me an email if you need to discuss that. Those prices are really just a suggested donation because that's what I make hourly when I do my other job as in production consulting. So let's see. So you can find all that there. And then, oh yeah, go participate in that song challenge. You can win a free reading when I do the drawing next Friday. All right, let's see for Divine Feminine and Divine Masculine. What are the things that we can focus on today? Just minor things that can help us continue this process of releasing and rebuilding so that we can come into alignment with what we desire to manifest. You got 3 again, Divine Masculine. You're greedy with your cards. All right, let's look at Divine Feminine. Divine Feminine, this is what you must do. Okay, here we go. Divine Feminine. Mirroring each other, self-image, relationships reflect our wounds and introspection. Coffin. Endings bring new beginnings, growth, change, liberation, and transition. The King of Wands, we already saw today, in the heart space, in reverse. That was your hidden assistance, remember? And the Four of Swords, which we already saw today, in the position of what can I do now to avoid this? So, Divine Feminine. Today, you should reflect upon the mirroring that goes on between you and whoever it is you have in mind or those others around you. Okay, so reflect upon that mirroring that's taking place and understand that if Divine Masculine is needing to bring about endings so that he can come into new beginnings, you must need to do that too. There must be things that you need to end too. That resistance to his transformation, this is a mirror. So for me, this information is, if you didn't already listen to this reading with yourself in mind when I was reading the masculine side of self, go back and listen to the masculine side of self and listen to it as if I were speaking to you and not about someone else, and try to understand how your resistance to transformation is affecting you, because you are mirroring Divine Masculine energy, and it's important for you to understand how that is blocking you, how not embracing that is blocking you, because you tend to think that divine masculine outside of yourself has to do all this work, and you ignore the transformation and endings that you need to bring about in your own situation. And then this is just a confirmation from spirit that you need to do what the reading said. You need to not take action in wrath or jealousy or ego, right? And you need to um, not resist the grief. So I really think that this is about, ooh, this is a tough one for you to do today. This King of Wands, this situation with this King of Wands who doesn't take action. In order to transform this energy, you have to grieve for this, the way that you were treated. You have to allow yourself to feel the grief for that experience and process it. But then reflect upon how it was a mirror and ask yourself what it's showing you. If I allowed myself to be treated this way, what does that mean? What wounds is my person showing me that I need to transform inside of myself? To allow myself to end the situation with a distorted masculine who is withholding information from me and remaining silent. Take that how you will. For some, that really does mean you need to end a situation with somebody who's not speaking. You just need to end it and understand that until you do, they're just going to keep reflecting back that wound to you. Ending it is saying, I am not worthy of that treatment, which means I am worthy of something better. And until you do that, you're going to keep cycling through that mirrored reflective behavior until you make that commitment to yourself that your worthiness is paramount. All right. Then we have, for divine masculine, we're getting palm tree. This is stability, security, permanence, growth, endurance, and flexibility. Then we're getting the snake. Competition, enemy, clever, malicious, look over your shoulder, and the other woman. And then we're getting the 10 of cups, the Queen of Swords, and the 4 of Wands. So, divine masculine, this is interesting. You've got to deal with something today. So your whole spread is about stabilizing, right? And also got that 4 of Wands. Can you believe the amount of union? Because there's another card of union in that. It's just nuts. There's 3 4 of Wands now. I do think, divine masculine, that in order to stabilize, you were told that you needed to express, that you needed to fully express or reveal divine feminine's work, or the work that you've done on for this divine feminine energy. For some, it could be there. See this. Okay, I think the snake and this Queen of Swords go together. And the 10 of Cups and this 4 of Wands energy, I feel like in order to stabilize, there's a snake-like energy. There is another woman, like a third party energy, right? Or and I don't think it's somebody that's currently a partner. I think this is somebody who has been clinging or whatever. And one of the reasons why there's a destabilizing force here, I think that divine feminine needs to know about this other woman. She needs to have this information. In order to stabilize, you have to express to her what has kept you from being able to come forward towards your spiritual fulfillment so that you can have this sacred union. It's either a past marriage or it's about telling divine feminine that you want to have a marriage with her, and that there is this other woman or an enemy in competition that's trying to block that fulfillment. But revealing this information, speaking about this information, facing this information, if this is something you've been denying to yourself, like maybe you've been in denial about the snake-like energy, maybe you've been trying to appease a past energy and you're not realizing that they're actually trying to fuck with your happiness directly or indirectly or spiritually or something. But there's a need to clean this up, this war between the snake and a divine feminine who's defensive because of this feeling or fears about it. It's your job, divine masculine, to stabilize the union by being very clear and transparent, to allow feminine to be truly discerning. This is very difficult for you, but it's really necessary to be able to move forward into that Four of Wands, which would be very positive if it weren't for the snake energy. If this wasn't here today, your day would look pretty good. So I feel like that snake needs to be cut out of the picture, and it's really hard for you to do that. All right, divine feminine, not divine feminine, the couple as a whole. This is the bottom of the deck. We're getting girl talk in reverse, which says time with friends, moving on, happily single, living in the moment and having fun. And then we're getting the 10 of Pentacles. So here is my feeling. Divine feminine, I think you've been getting the date card in reverse for 2 days in a row, and now you're getting the happily single card in reverse, and so I think you are not meant to be talking to your friends right now about this current union, because it's in a very, very very sensitive stage. You're heading towards this material fulfillment, 10 of Pentacles, which is everything that you desire here in the material. And when you're talking about it, you're inserting your doubts and fears about it and your anxieties. And you might even be masking, you might even be lying, you might even be saying things like, yeah, I'm ready to see other people, or in the divine masculine's case, who hasn't even told anyone about divine feminine, or very few people, he might just be like not revealing that it's her, and just there's hiding, there's lying, there's masking, there's negative talk. There's like a feeling for divine feminine of like, well, I'm single and I can do what I want, but that's not what she wants. Like, what she wants is a specific iteration. So every time she's engaging in those kind of conversations, she's blocking her ability to manifest that 10 of Pentacles. So you need to watch your talk, watch what you're saying. You need to release any sense of this happily single thing, if it is union that you're desiring. And I also think there is just a little bit of a thing here that's kind of, because this having fun is at the bottom. You're not wanting to be having fun like with other people right now, because that is not serving you. That energy is not serving you. But you do need to be a little bit more lighthearted, like lighten up just a little bit, I think. All right. That is what I'm seeing today. Thank you so much for joining me. On Sunday on Instagram Live, you can have the opportunity to have cards read for you after Grace Strega and I do a 30-minute check-in, roughly 30 minutes. She takes masculine and I take feminine, or vice versa. You'll have the opportunity to ask your own questions. We will pull cards for you. You can also ask us any questions. You can ask us questions about our lives, about reading tarot, about my music stuff, whatever is interesting you. It's just open season. Sometimes we talk about astrology. We talk about a lot of things. So please join me for Sunday. It's my favorite thing to do. We've been doing it for 6 months, and it's really, really, really a highlight of every one of my weeks. So I hope I do see you there, and I hope that you have a good weekend. Enjoy every moment. Appreciate every moment. Work on that self-care and the self-love. Release these attachments. Really do the work, and understand that you're only holding on to things because you're just afraid of what's coming, because in the past you didn't have this awareness that you had so much control over what was coming. So you've got a lot of fear about it now, but release the fear and trust. It's all working out for you. Thank you so much, and I will see you on Sunday. Have a glorious day.